Hi everyone, and a massive welcome to the ICS OT experience here on InfoSec Live, where I'm going to be discussing all things operational technology security with Zuzanna Wieczorek. But before we bring her on, my name's Simon Lindstedt, and I'm the founder of the InfoSec Live community and also your host for this show today. And by sharing stories and best practice over the last few months, it's led to 50,000 views and over 8,000 hours of our content being watched on YouTube by you, our amazing subscribers. So a huge thank you for your engagement. And if you would like to take it a step further and support the wider InfoSec Live community, or indeed buy me a cheeky decaf coffee, we do have a few ways you can show your appreciation. First up, the ability to purchase super stickers in the chat if you want your question bumped up to the top, and 3 tiers of membership allowing you to show your support in any way that you can. But whether you join or not, being here and engaging with our content is what really matters. So if you're watching this live, please like and subscribe. We want to make these interactive, so make sure you also drop any questions in the chat. After all, it is you, our audience, who make these events so special. So today, I'm delighted to be joined by the CEO, CTO of Tekniska Polska, Zuzanna Wieczorek, with a Master of Science in Electronics and Telecommunication. She's a passionate engineer with over 17 years experience in the field of industrial networks and cybersecurity. She's walked different paths through the industrial data communication world, from technical support, network and cybersecurity architecture design, deployment and configuration of Ethernet, MPLS-TP and ICS cybersecurity tools, training, business development and international cooperation with leading technology vendors, up to managing engineering teams. She's constantly looking for leading trends and problems that need to be solved, which helps us set the direction for the future. And for several years, together with the cybersecurity team Tekniska, she's been discussing, educating, getting to know and analyzing topics and issues related to the risks arising from cyber threats and how to mitigate them in industrial control system environments. She's the creator of the Cybertech Conference, an event dedicated for building strong community of specialists, can't speak today, and place to be to exchange experience in IT and OT, ICS, cybersecurity and network engineering fields. She's also an author of publications on industrial network engineering, a speaker at conferences dedicated to industries related to critical infrastructure. And since March 2018, she's been honored and proud to be leading the great team of Tekniska Polska. So I'll stop rambling now and we'll get onto it and I'll bring her on. Welcome.
Welcome, Simon. Thank you so much for such a nice and warm words and nice intro.
It's my pleasure. And can I just say before we start, apologies for giving you the wrong link. Poor Zuzanna was sat in the wrong green room for the last 10 minutes.
I was alone in a room, a bit, scared that nobody would like to listen about the cybersecurity of ICS.
Your company may have received a panicked phone call from me about 4 minutes ago. Just ignore that. It's absolutely fine. But thank you for taking the time to come on. Before we dig in, I just want to say a few hellos to a few people in the chat. We've got a great turnout again today. My good friend Alana, Dorota as well. Dorota, who's also from Poland, great friend of mine and a great ambassador for cybersecurity. We've got Richard, Salunio, so many more. Raphael, I can't name all of them, but thank you for tuning in. And please do drop any questions you might have in the chat. Before we jump into ICS and OT, would you mind just giving everyone a bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, partially have done it in this intro. Thank you so much for that. I was thinking, what else should I add to maybe tell a little bit of story about myself? And I think that the most important is that I walked through very starting from engineering path, from technical support, through the management positions. So I started as a specialist, as a network engineer, then worked, as I said, different ways, which gave me a lot of different perspectives. And if I speak about my experience, this is the most valuable for me, for myself right now, that I use at my job, because I can still remember, being in the rain on site, in the helmet, having the pressure of time, of money, and so on. So I really understand the perspective of automation engineers who are responsible for safety, who have to bring up again the failed service as soon as possible in the very stressed environment. So that's the short story about myself. Right now, I'm a little bit farther from maybe pure engineering because I'm managing the company right now, but I'm still trying to be as close as possible and to find time to be up to date with the technology.
And with managing people, that brings a whole different set of challenges and opportunities, I suppose.
Of course, it is totally different perspective, but makes you learn all the time. You have to be open, and then you can learn because everybody have different attitude, different ideas, and what we are trying to do right now with cybertech, for example, we are trying to build a platform and that connect me with you and in the other direction, because we have the common goal to build a platform, to a community of people who are interested in building competences in cybersecurity. For myself, it is this ICS world of cybersecurity, because I think it is way to go in this very complex world where we will really need a lot of specialists, and there's no other way, in my opinion, just to really learn, train, share experience, and get out of this zone where everybody are maybe a little bit scared of competition. It is like with open source software. For some businesses, it was a risky decision to open up the code, for example, but in the end, it turned out really good. So I think it's the same with knowledge, that we've been in the past in the zone where we've been a little bit scared of sharing our knowledge and our know-how, but in cybersecurity we have to share.
It's too broad a subject to be an expert in everything, which is why it is so important that, I mean, this is why you and I got on from the first moment we spoke, because the belief in the need for a community approach to building talent and helping organizations. And before we move on to talk about the conference, which is very exciting, by the way, and also I'm attending, and I'm very looking forward to coming over to Poland. It'll be the first time for me in May this year. We're going to have a little bit of a focus on, for those that watch normally, where cybersecurity for IT has traditionally been concerned with information confidentiality, integrity, and availability. OT priorities are often safety, reliability, and availability, as there are obviously physical dangers associated with OT failure or malfunction. And from the other OT specialists I've spoken to over the last year, there seems to be a real gap of talent in this particular part of the industry. And I blame that on the glamorization of pen testing and being a SOC analyst, because people tend to get quite focused down their path on what they want to learn, because perhaps they haven't had the opportunity to learn more about the operational technology side, the industrial control system. So would you mind starting off talking to us about the importance of operational technology and where you fit into that?
Yeah, of course. That is why it keeps fascinating me, and it keeps me in the ICS environment, because it really have the potential for your skills development, because the gap could be from two sources. One, the newest high-tech great technologies usually are developed in IT security. OT security comes after, it follows. It have different, as you said, different priorities. For security is only a part of this triangle. And the focus is on safety, on business continuity, on process continuity, and so on. And what could be a barrier is you have to learn the basics of automation process, because otherwise there is really no way to work on security of OT. So the very interdisciplinary knowledge also from the automation side is required. And on the other side, you are using the technologies developed in IT, and it is not like that it is AI technology developed in last month. And so depends what you want in your career of engineer. If you would like to be in the connection of the newest developed technologies, well, then ICS probably is not the place. You should go to finance or to IT.
Do you think that the fact that legacy systems are so prevalent in the OT ICS world, we're talking about a lot of old systems, a lot of old technology, where maybe younger people, and I can say this because I'm nearly 50, maybe younger people coming in don't have the knowledge of these systems. And another concern seems to be from some professionals that in a few years' time, we'll have run out of people who've got the in-depth knowledge for some of these systems unless we start training up new people.
Of course, it is a huge problem, and I think that it is not fully understood yet at the boards, the company management, and so on. That the most of, especially the automation engineers departments, there are very experienced people, but new people are not enough trained, not enough engaged in the process, and so on. And it should also include the process of security at the stage of choosing the system maintenance. So it is very complex. But coming back to your question, in general, ICS systems are very complex, built from hundreds of different devices from different vendors, serviced by teams from different vendors. When you have large enterprise like oil and gas or power plants, also, you have really thousands of hosts. And it is not like in IT that you have one vendor that, I don't know, brings you the stations on which you use the office solutions. It is that every vendor brings his, I don't know, has a part
niche
of the systems. It's niche, and it is usually serviced also by these companies. So to manage all this stuff, and it have really hundreds, thousands of vulnerabilities, because it was not developed in the way of taking into consideration the security that we have in mind right now. So we have, as you said, a lot of legacy equipment, a lot of equipment from different vendors, and of course you have something which we call technology debt. So you have to, combine all these complex problems together, and then and safety, and then try to build a cybersecurity program on top of that. And it should not be built for today. It should be built for today, but also to be developed in the organization. Because what we see right now, for example, and it also comes because of the technology, well, not the technology, but the communication gap between IT and OT, the competence gap. What we see is that the maturity of organization is, of course, much lower than in IT. So the decision-making process, but the companies are pushed to improve their security fast. So they feel that they have to make decisions, but they are not ready, for example, for the consequence of these decisions that they are making, because the priority of the tasks is not complementary to risk assessment or to the organization possibilities of, I don't know, deployment and then servicing and working with a tool, for example.
I suppose you've also got the problem with critical national infrastructure in particular. You can't just turn these things off to patch things and fix them either, can you? So they've got to be constantly operational, I suppose. Does that give you challenges as well?
Well, this is this kind of the question that you cannot answer, actually.
Trust me.
Because the answer is quite obvious. Well, of course, that's the safety part, and with the safety part, I think that the interesting narration that one I would say narration path that people are being a bit historical. Well, it may seem like that there is a lot of threats and a lot of attacks, and then when you check what is documented, it's not so many direct attacks on OT. On the other hand, you have people who say, okay, but if we will have an attack, which will be actually successful, it can be really drastic because it can impact safety. So it can impact that people will be in danger. So that's why these two different narrations are in opposition. But I think the interesting part in this discussion is to actually have this opposition and to discuss, to understand the problems, because otherwise, if you only do your monologue, then you will never find this. There's a
big problem in every industry with monologue.
And coming back to what you said, of course, you have millions. Well, I do not want to exaggerate, but if you have really, really large environment, large company in critical infrastructure, when you will, I don't know, do vulnerability scan with a tool that actually understands the OT, the OT devices, and can find the vulnerabilities for OT devices, which is not so obvious, then you will find that you have, for example, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of vulnerabilities. And what now? So of course it is not possible to patch them, even if you, let's say, even that physically you would have a process to patch them, you do not have the team to organize such work for patching so many of vulnerabilities. Of course, it's scalable. If your organization is smaller, it will be not so many. Nevertheless, you have to remember that usually you have a team of automation engineers, and they are responsible for the system of automation, for the network on which the system is, with which the system is communicating, and for the process continuity. And their days are really full, that they are not bored. So to add them another task, it's too much, and to push these tasks for IT team could be also very difficult from the organization point of view, because then it's the matter of responsibility. You will send the IT department person to touch the system in automation, and who will be responsible for? So I think that part of the decisions and part of the problems are not typical engineering problems. They are very much business decision problems. They are very much organization and management problems.
And do you think that the role of someone like yourself is to help? I mean, you mentioned a couple of words already. One was monologue, which is one of my favorites. And I think we touched on empathy as well. Communicating with engineers, automation engineers, leadership on the board is a skill in itself. And having the ability to show empathy that people are busy and they've got all these jobs to do, but also take the time to understand, excuse me, and help educate them as to why it's so important to get the jobs done. Do you think that's a skill that's missing in the industry as well?
Of course, it is missing, and it is missing also in the management, not only in ICS, right? Why it is so important here? Because people work under pressure. Different teams of engineers are really usually experienced people with long years in the business, and they tend to, instead of discuss something together, how to solve the problem, frequently what we see is that they are discussing who is right. So it's about right or wrong, not about what is the problem and how to solve it.
This is middle-aged white men arguing and bashing heads, isn't it?
Sometimes, unfortunately, it looks like that, but it is not. It is human, It is not only in this field. It is very human that we focus. Maybe it's because of the system, how we are educated. We focus on the blame and on the who's wrong, who's right, and I'm a big fan of very simple philosophy sometimes, or paths of thinking for even complex problems. And there is a 5 why methodology, and I think that this 5 why methodology frequently really helps to solve the problems, or to find where this spot where you should actually focus.
You dig down deeper. Dig down deeper.
And with this ICS security is like that I think that we should all community should ask more questions, discuss more, be open also for maybe something that they do not agree with.
It's learning to be open to other people's points of view and perspective, and not being so narrow-minded and thinking we're right all the time seems to be a big challenge. Before we dig into the importance of collaboration, and I think one of the reasons you've got the conference off the ground is to encourage that. There's some people watching the show who, like myself, are not cybersecurity experts. They're recently in the field, and what we haven't done really is clarify or talk about what OT and what industrial control systems are. And I know we mentioned national infrastructure. I mean, the first thing that would have come into my head would be gas pipelines, based on the recent activity around the world. But imagine life without instant running water. Imagine life without traffic lights or mass-produced food or energy at the touch of a button. And of course, the connectivity given to us by our infrastructure that allows us to do things like this.
Transportation.
Yeah. Where do you see the biggest threats at the moment in the OT space? Don't say everywhere.
In general,
yeah,
it's like that. But it is not something that is a big or huge surprise. It's just that we are a little bit late with discussion about it.
Yeah,
because what we observed during last years is a very fast technology development, technology evolution. It is getting faster and faster, and the technology, when it is developed, it always solves some problems, optimizes something, but also it brings strength. So that's the key. So it's not it is not surprise. It's just that we have new technologies to the systems that are managed in very conservative ways, that are even sometimes manually still controlled, of course not as a primary style of controlling it, but as the alert or backup way of getting it back to life. But the technology has this spirit that it will squeeze, it will go there, even if, I don't know, all of people in the specific age and with specific, I don't know, like my generation will say, no, we will never use cloud technology in SCADA.
Yeah.
I can tell this, but maybe next, I don't know, 2 years, and it will be cloud technology in the SCADA because it will solve somebody, I don't know, business problem, or it has the potential. So the technology will go up, whether we like it or not. And with this development, threats will come.
Yeah.
So the biggest, I would say, not one single threat, but the biggest thing is to be in time with the security along this, putting these new technologies into the legacy systems, or the systems that are managed in different
And to
ways.
do that, you need buy-in from leadership, and you need buy-in from business to do that. And I'm going to bring up a few comments that
Yeah,
we've had in the chat. I'll just move you to the top so you don't get covered up. Hey, JJ, good to see you. JJ said the difficulty a lot of security programs have is the lack of context of the business, context of the environment, and the context
definitely.
of the problems. And he finishes it off with a lot of professionals focus on symptoms, not the cause.
Exactly.
Any comments on that?
Yeah, exactly. It's what I said. It's we should ask the questions. We should ask why, as long as we go to the heart of the problem. If we will see the problem without a context, the solution always will be bad for the business or for the engineering. And really, I've seen a lot of tools, and the tool, as when you look at the tool, for example, you speak with the vendor, and the tool itself, it's a great tool.
Yeah.
But when it is implemented in the environment of the organization, which is not mature enough to, for example, use this tool, they will spend the security budget to buy the tool, then they cannot use it, but they have no money to buy to do something else. So that's very frequent. So this context, this understanding of the priorities, what should I do when, if I'm ready for that, what should I do to be ready, and so on and so on. It is very important.
I completely agree with the tools. So a lot of the people I've spoken to recently, I think the best saying, if you look at the industry over the last 4 to 5 years, the spend on security tooling has just gone up exponentially. But the amount of attacks and successful attacks have also kept going up. And there's a saying that the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. And I wonder whether, rather than spending a lot of money on tools and tricks and shiny silver bullet solutions, whether organizations should be looking more at the processes they've got in place and making sure they're measurable, correct, and auditable. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it is the starting point, that you really have to understand where are you. You should think, what should you do now? Because, for example, if you are really in danger because you have no security, you have or shut the connection with the external networks, and not open it until you are ready to actually do the connection with IT. I don't know, network, for example, between IT and OT. Or prepare somehow. So the priorities and the understanding of the business context and technical context, because as I said, it is not the main problem is that a lot of security tools are demanding, and that's the big problem with ICS.
Yeah.
That let's say that you have a tool that helps you to monitor your network, but this tool will generate a lot of information. So you have to have someone, one, who will have the time to interpret this information. And okay, you can buy, as let's say, SOC service. But then the other thing which makes it a little bit more complicated is that someone have to understand the context of this information. And it is not very simple for SOC, for typical IT SOC, because they will not be able to understand the context of the automation process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you will have to engage your automation team anyway. So you will eat their time. So you will have to, I don't know, build your team and so on and so on. So it is not so trivial to actually just get something, I don't know, NDR or a tool and just install it and okay, great. I'm covered right now.
I think there's a few comments in the chat that I agree with. Carlos's is great. Selling tools has been like selling picks and shovels during the gold rush. I think I completely agree with that. And Dorota, who I'm going to introduce you to after this, if you don't mind, because I think it would be really good for you two to get together. She said, but at least they can show off to their competitors that, oh, look, we have the latest software. But why does it matter when you sometimes don't have people to use it and secure the company, which just goes back to reinforce the point you were talking about. It's a little bit like when some organizations decide to migrate to the cloud and they pay a company to come in and externally and do that for them. The problem then is once they've done that, they've got no resources or people within the organization to troubleshoot and make sure that things are working properly. So shall we move on to talking about the conference, because I'm very excited about this. Do you want to tell our audience a bit about when it is, what it's about, and
why? Maybe we should start from why.
Yeah.
why we've decided to organize a conference, because we are not a company which organizes events. We are a typical network engineering and cybersecurity company in Poland, and we decided to organize an event, a typical technical event, because I have this engineer team, which is in love in few conferences of IT, and they say they talk to me. You know, there's so many cool IT conferences where you can actually, and it works in IT, that you can share your knowledge. You can, I don't know, listen and learn a lot of stuff in very relevantly, short time, 1 or 2 days. You can really learn a lot and inspire and network. So we decided, okay, let's try to do this in Poland for ICS environment, which is a bit maybe for IT people, it is not so. It doesn't sound like anything maybe new, but for ICS it is new, because in ICS we mainly have, with some maybe exceptions, we mainly have business conferences or how to say it,
very
formal meetings. Yes. So we decided to do something which will be creative, push people to network a little bit more, especially that a lot of people is in technology in general are not. It's not the natural way to just network with people.
You have to drag them kicking and screaming.
or make it easier for them, right?
Absolutely.
Because even if you are very open, when you are in the very formal situation, you don't feel comfortable.
No, I mean, this is something we've talked about offline, that the events, I'm not an events company either, but we've hosted now one in Cambridge in the United Kingdom, which was in February, which was laid back, no sales pitches, beer and pizza, a room full of people, just networking, knowledge sharing and collaborating. And we've got another one actually next week in Tampa Bay, Florida. Carlos, the man, is one of the sponsors in the crowd there. And we're up to nearly 70 people registered for that. And the reason we started those events is because the feedback from all the leadership that we'd spoken, of course, Dorota, there'll be pizza there. Yeah. The feedback we had from leadership about the other events that they attend is either they're too formal, sit down meals where you don't get a chance to network and collaborate, or on the other hand, all it is a sales pitch. And I think we need to move away from that. And the industry as a whole, especially the vendors, I think, are finally waking up and realizing that cold outreach and hammering away at people isn't the way to build relationships and build business. Maybe
Definitely.
if you built relationships and added some value first, it could work much better for everyone.
And we also represent some vendors, so it's not like that vendors are evil.
No.
I would not start this. I would not want this to go this way. But yes, sometimes the idea of coming and informing about, hello, I have this great product, it's not the way as it should be, because the place on the conference is not to hear the advertisement.
Yeah.
It's you have to have this value, and even vendors are really experienced because they are developing the product, they are doing a market research, they are really thinking how to make it good and how to solve the problem. So they can also do the speech. Just it's about discussing with them that, hey, do the speech, but focus on technology, or focus on the problem, or focus on the solution. And if you want to do the workshop and show your solution.
Yeah.
But it is then clear situation for the vendors and for the conference participants, because it's not like that in the main, I don't know, stage you have, as you said, the sales speech. And I think it is also very actually precious, because to meet the vendor on the conference
100%,
and to be able to see the solution, because many people anyway, I don't know, schedule a lot of meetings because they want to do a POC or POV or so. If we as an organizer, we are trying to do it like this, that we are trying to build the space and build the agenda, that if you want, you can go and do this first meeting in one place with different vendors, but it is not on the main stage. It is somewhere a side workshop. If you want to meet this vendor, go and meet and look at the solution.
I don't want to come across like I'm moaning about vendors, because I'm certainly not. And there's some amazing products out there in the market. And I know lots of CISOs and business leaders who heavily rely on their trusted advisors who happen to work for vendors when solving any of their problems. The thing I love about the conference you're putting on and what we're trying to do is that we're not saying vendors aren't there to sell something, because of course they are. But if they spent a bit more time getting to know the potential customers, to identify whether their product even fits in with any of the problems that they've got. And the only way you do that is by having a dialogue, not a monologue, where you get to understand the person and the challenges that they're facing. And I applaud you for what you're doing over there. Who are your sponsors for the event, by the way? Do you want to name them on here?
Yeah, of course. It's not a mystery. It's Waterfall, Radiflow, Beldem, Westermo. Sorry, because I don't remember everybody, and now I can be in a very.
I'm going to get you told off
situation. But we also have on board a few Polish companies like Ascomp, Storm Shield from France. And I'm sorry if I'll tell
you what we can do to get you off.
I will, list.
Get you off your hook with the vendors. If you send me a list afterwards, what I'll do, I'll put it in the description for this event so people can see who are sponsoring. When is the conference, Zuzanna?
24th to 26th of May. And it starts with a workshop. So it is one-day training it will be really ideal for someone who comes from IT and would like to get a little bit deeper in the problems and solutions of ICS, and also for the automation engineers, because it will then open them up a little bit more light for the security problems.
Do you have a link handy for the event? Do you have that to hand? If not, I can find one in your emails, I think.
Yeah, just please give me a moment.
If you drop it in the private chat here, I can make sure that it goes in the normal chat. It's whereabouts in Poland is it, Zuzanna?
It is in Katowice. Katowice is in the south of Poland, in Silesia region.
Okay.
Upper Silesia. Close to, very close to the airport. Katowice has close to Krakow as well.
Yeah.
So pretty good from the logistic point of view. We have a lot of spaces for organizing such big events. So from the communication, logistics, and organization point of view, it should be easy to get there, and nice to be here, I hope.
And
so.
who have you got speaking at the event? What kind of people have you got talking?
We have quite international team of speakers right now. We will have Dan Ehrenreich from Israel. We will have Soren Agede from Denmark. We will have some. Sorry, I have to open the list because we have over 40 speakers right now.
Wow.
So I will just mention some of them because it's not possible to mention everybody. So give me, excuse me, I will just open this
No
up.
problem. So I want to say thanks to Rafael as well for dropping the link in. Much appreciated.
We have some people from Poland, from example, from Polish CERT. We have two. It is actually a bit opened for. I opened the possibility to make the online speech for Dean Parsons and Clint Podunjan, and I really thank you for them for joining. But they cannot fly in, but they will speak. It will be online speech, but rest. All the rest of the very nice speakers will be on site. So we have Łukasz Kister. He's also representing, and one of 10 people in the world who has the right now ICS Commander certification, and he will do the training. It is more like workshop and exercise session for incident response. We will have a threat gun game. We will have Sans Cyber 42 game. It is more like decision game for maybe management, not purely technical. Threat gun is a bit more technical.
Did you say you've got the threat gen game as well? Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Love that.
We will have some Meshlag from, sorry if I do not pronounce it well, but it is not easy.
Well, you'll have to tell me if I pronounced your name wrong at the start now, if we want to
start. It was good enough. It was good enough.
Yeah.
But so a lot of different things. We will have technical deep dives, like, for example, workshop for Kali Purple Linux. We will have a very general, more like management level sessions, talking about incident response in ICS, talking about vulnerability management, about threat management, because you can look at the problem with different strategies, and the people who actually are creating the strategies of ICS security, or creating this consulting, frequently they look from different perspectives. And also it is interesting discussion, and I will ask them to have this discussion on stage, actually. If it is better to go from, I don't know, vulnerability management or threat management, or totally different perspective, like risk, for example.
It sounds very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to attending. I'm actually going to tie it into a couple of days away with my wife as well, so we get to explore and enjoy Poland a little bit. So killing two birds with one stone there. Solunio's asked a question. Do you mind if I bring it up?
Yep.
Any advice for people on how to break into OT if someone's starting their adventure with cyber? Shall we put our foot in the company first as an intern, perhaps?
Okay, so depends where is your starting point, of course, because you can start from and where you want to be. if you are interested in getting really engineering position, as you, Simon, said, and having no experience, no technical experience at all, it wouldn't be easy. But having automation engineering experience or having network engineering experience, it is much easier to get into the field, because you have the starting point from which you can go and develop your skills. Actually, we have prepared a map of skills, and SANS Institute, which is the partner of the conference, as well has quite a good map of skills that actually I really recommend to look at, where you can check, okay, I would like to be at that position, so I should know, my knowledge should be deep at this, I don't know, network engineering, software development, or operation systems, etc., etc. So depending on the position that you are interested and the direction, you can check what skills would be the most important for you, because there are many different roles in this process. You can be a specialist who, I don't know, is doing pen test, or is is actually responsible for deploying, maintaining, and working with the security tools. You can be the manager who is managing and building cybersecurity programs. So there are really many different roles, and the entry skills for the role are different. The skills to develop to be fully in this role are also.
We've got Raphael's asked, where do we find that mind map? Now, this might be the wrong link, but the one I've found, I'm dropping in, is here quickly.
It definitely, the SANS definitely. Oh, I can see that SANS definitely will show it on the conference. I can also share at the conference the skills map that we have made when we are looking for people to join our team, for example, or when we discuss if you would like to go in this direction or that direction. But I'm not prepared to just drop a link right now, but I can drop the link maybe later on.
Perfect, thank you. Well, maybe the one I've dropped in there is one that I've used before for that kind of looking at where you are with skills and where you want to be. I worked out that I was nowhere near good enough, so I just do this full time now. I've made
and I would say, and also it will be. It will be strange, well, maybe not strange, but not very typical for the conference like that. But this is what you have mentioned, because we are sure that so-called soft skills are crucial at this field. We decided that we will push a speech and a workshop and your speech as well.
Yay! I didn't know I'd been accepted, Zuzanna. So that's great news.
So about the soft skills and how to why we come to some conflicts, how to discuss, how to dialogue, not monologue, how to listen.
It's about active listening. It's about realizing what dialogue actually is, rather than a monologue where you're both waiting for the other person to finish speaking, not listening to what they're saying because you just want to get your point across, which unfortunately a lot of conversations seem to be like that. And it's something that I've done for 30 years in my roles of running businesses and working in sales and marketing, is building and maintaining relationships. And to do that, you have to be empathetic. You have to be able to listen empathetically. You have to be able to actively listen. You have to be able to ask those open questions. And whilst I'm not technical, I think having those skills on top of technical skills can make you a bit of a superhuman when it comes to the cybersecurity industry. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. I have to make a t-shirt like this, you know. Well, I can only add one thing to that, that we are all humans. We have this problem of cognitive dissonance, I think it is called in English, right? And cognitive dissonance is a big problem when it comes to analyzing data, to analyzing information, thinking about how to reflect in the future and so on. Because sometimes when we are closed in our belief, it is really hard to get out. And I would be really, really happy and proud of all of my team and speakers when people attending the conference will get out and tell, okay, I know that this problem solution, it is maybe not bad, but it is not universal for all problems of this kind. So I should not be maybe arrogant and try to push someone to agree with me that yes, this is the right solution, but I should maybe open up and think, okay, this is not the solution for this particular situation. For this particular situation, we should modify it, or we should look for another solution.
I think learning to be humble and open to listening to other people is very difficult. I mean, I was the worst at that a few years ago, and a little bit deluded that I was an entrepreneurial genius, and that led to me losing absolutely everything, and that wasn't anyone else's fault apart from my own. And the biggest learning point for me out of that, apart from making sure what your idea of success actually is and what is important to you, it is the fact that we're not all great at everything, right? We're all good at our own things, and it's learning to appreciate that other people are much better than you at lots of other things. And even at the things you're good at, there's other people out there who are equally as good at them, if not better than you, that you can learn from. And I think I remember my teacher at school, long time ago now, saying, put your listening ears on. And I think that's probably something I should have listened to 45 years ago, Zuzanna, rather than 5 years ago. But look, we're pretty much out of time. Any last comments? I'll tell you what I want to do actually before I wrap up. Let me put the link in for people to register for the conference again. I'm going to bring up a quick comment. I think the person's left, but it's a good one. Gotta go. Marry the minds of a salesperson and a techie, and kaboom. There's your powerhouse consultant. I love that. I think it's really good. Any final comments from you before we wrap up, Zuzanna?
I just tell. I thought what is good to wrap this up. I was inspired lately by the system that was actually implemented in the aviation security, safety actually. It's that systems that how to say it in English, make the space for people to register the incidents, and actually it supports registering incidents and even mistakes that they have done, that they are in the environment, that they should not be scared that somebody will use it against them.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I actually talking with Polish Aviation Security Institute to get someone to tell a little bit about that, how it is developed, how it is pushed to be successful. Because one of the problems is with under-reporting. And if we will not report incidents, we will not be able to learn from mistakes. That's
it's the old learning from failures, isn't it? I think, and that's something that we all really need to learn to do. Look, everyone, thank you so much, Zuzanna, for coming along and chatting today. Everyone in the audience, thank you very much for coming along. If you've enjoyed it and you want to hear more, come to Poland on
definitely
May the 25th.
You're welcome.
Maybe May the 25th, did you say? 25th.
24th to 26th. 24th. Maybe important for people which are not Polish language speaking, of course. It will be that the main stage pre-elections will be simultaneously translated.
So I don't need to learn Polish before I do my talk?
No. You can try, but It will not be necessary.
It's my brain used to be like a sponge, but it's now like a sponge with a rain jacket on top, and it just all runs off. So it might be difficult. I really appreciate the opportunity
Thank
to
you
come
so
and
much.
speak,
It
and
was great pleasure.
it really was fun. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next week. And for those of you who are going to be in Florida next week, I look forward to seeing you in Tampa Bay. Take care and have a great day.
Take care. Thank you.
Well, I pressed the wrong one then, didn't I? So as you were then saying goodbye, say goodbye again, Zuzanna, so I don't cut you off.
Okay, thank you so much. It was really, really nice to also see all the questions.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. And this, I promise, is the right outro video. Have a great day.